All right, hi everybody, can you hear us? Yay, thank you. And then you can see David at least. So David, you're on the spot. Thanks for joining. We've got a small group here in Sunnyvale. I know a lot of the team is rapidly working on the final bows and dots and T. Yeah, I got my analogies wrong. I haven't had my coffee yet. So on 0.8. So that should be later today. I'm not going to put Jasmine on the spot, but I am looking at her right now. She's smiling. So they're working on that.
So all the blocking issues have been.
Like, no, let's just focus on David again.
He's the best we have to offer.
That's a pretty sad state of affairs.
So yeah, all the blocking issues have been resolved, and I think the site is already up, and you should be able to access 0.8 docs. And later today, we hopefully will be able to send out the announcement to Istio Dev. So play around with it. If you have any questions, concerns, if you find any bugs, please let us know. If you find bugs, log them in GitHub and send us a link.
And fix them.
Yes, and fix them, of course.
I mean, you know, that should be the rule. If you find one, you have to also close one. Find one, close two? I don't know.
And if you close enough, April might send you some good news.
Totally would. David, have you met the open source community yet? Perhaps you would like to say hi. This is a camera.
Okay. So I actually don't think I've met the broader open source community or the team. So I'm actually David Monroe, product manager, working with Dan Cerulli and others at Google, and just super happy to be part of the team.
Yeah, and so David, you were at KubeCon.
Yep, I was at KubeCon just recently in Copenhagen. A lot of really good talks, a lot of good buzz at KubeCon around Istio, and I think there's even a bunch of really good sessions as well.
Yeah, I think most of those are recorded, so we're trying to. I'm going to add those to our playlist in our Istio YouTube channel. But David will also hopefully be joining us at OzCon in Portland. And so for anyone who's interested in wanting to talk about the Istio project and questions, things like that, yeah, David's very nice.
Yeah, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to provide any bit of information I possibly can.
Not like me and Jasmine, who like to hide behind the camera and not be seen.
I see John put a comment about a bug in the Ansible installer. PR submitted over a week ago. No one has looked at it yet. Wow.
It could be because everybody has been busy working on fixing 0.8 bugs, and you should actually all have access to it. There is a list that we were actually working towards, and if it was not on the list, there is a really high chance that nobody was looking at it. But now that 0.8 is out,
yeah, but definitely thanks, John, for raising that. When you've got stuff that hasn't been looked at in a timely manner, please do raise it up, and we'll get some eyes on it, because especially as the project gets bigger, we're going to have more and more of that going on, and we don't want to make John sad, so we will definitely take a look at that. So we got the working doc up. I put a link to it in the chat. Excuse me. We didn't have anything that's on there now, but I know Fred wanted to share some stuff as well, and then if you've got anything that you'd like to add or any questions, please pop them in there. And I will also do a plug for our Rocket Chat instance that is up and running. If you have not joined us there yet, you should totally do that. That's a good spot for the community to jump in and help out. And we've got some folks that have got some questions that they need some help with. So if you are able to jump in and help out, please do. And, you might get some sweet flags sent your way. We're into that sort of thing. The other thing is a couple of events that are coming up. They're on our community calendar. but just want to call them out as well. We will be at DockerCon. So DockerCon is in San Francisco. It is the 12th through the 15th of June. It happens at the same time as there's a Java conference, I think, in Spain, and I think Christian is going to be there. But we will be at DockerCon. There's a talk about Istio, and then there's a Birds with a Feather session that Zach and Dan Berg are going to do. So I'll be there. I would love to meet up with folks if anyone's going to be at DockerCon. If we are going to have a lot of folks there, if you're planning to go, please do, let me know. Maybe we'll put together a happy hour or something like that. We also have on June 20th, we've got a local Istio meetup in the Bay Area, and that's my regular plug for if you'd like to run an Istio meetup in your area, please reach out and we will help you. And then LinuxCon China is happening at the end of the month, and I know Len is going to be there. Hey, it's Dan Cerulli too. Oh my gosh. You guys are so lucky today. You get David and Dan.
Not luck.
So LinuxCon is at the end of June, and that's going to be a good one. And then, of course, the big one that we're kind of working towards is OSCON in July in Portland. That's July, the week of the 16th. There is an Istio Day that's happening as part of OSCON, so definitely check that out. And I will be sharing some information soon about the overall Istio presence and activities there. And one of the things that I would love to do is have some community folks there on hand to help out with, answering questions about Istio, doing kind of an Istio meet and greet, office hours, whatever we want to call it. So let's see, Cedric has a question about 0.8. 0.8 is sort of out, but the docs are out, but the code isn't yet.
Read all about it.
It will be, right. We want you to learn before using, because developers love reading instructions first. And that Jasmine does not want it to be on her. I don't want it on.
You're talking. It only makes sense, right? Everybody back me up. It only makes sense.
And Cedric's got a question about, want to do a short talk about Istio and service meshes at an internal company tech conference. Cedric, we've got some decks that we would happy to share. I think actually maybe Dan's a la carte might be good to grab from as well. Depends on kind of how technical and details you want to get. But
it's not a good, my a la carte is not a good intro. I definitely did not do an intro there. One thing we should do is make sure that in the community drive, we've got a good basic, here's an intro. We have some internally, I think, that we can convert and un-Googlify and just Istioize.
Yeah, we don't yet have kind of the here is a basic intro that anybody can run with, but we're working on that. So Cedric, if you want to tell us like when you need it by, that'll be a good forcing function, and we can get that worked on. And it would be a good thing for it would be a good thing for just overall, of course, I want it Monday. My favorite thing about developers is always the last minute. These, people of my own heart. So it's Monday, so you're going to work on it Sunday night.
No, the thing is, it wouldn't be hard for me to take one that I've used internally and really just kind of change the format. What I wouldn't be able to do by Monday necessarily is get a good a complete talk track, because ideally this would have complete speaker notes. I bet I could have just on the Istio template. Here's an intro to Istio.
I think that would be hugely helpful, and then we can put it out for the community. And basically, we have a lot of good slides across multiple decks, and it's a matter of we need to take a little from this and a little from that. And he says 3 to 4 illustrative slides would be useful already. So
interesting. Okay, I'll see if I will try to get that done.
Yeah, cool.
I assume everyone in here has access to
the drive?
The community drive, they should. If you don't have access to it yet, you just click the link in the GitHub and it'll do some magic and we'll get you access to it. But that is where all the design docs and everything are shared, so you should have access to it already. And Amy, that's where we'll put the intro slides. Okay, cool. I see a bunch of people joining the Rocket Chat. Yay! We're just getting it started, so tell your friends. All right. Does anybody have any questions, or are you new to Istio and it's your first time joining us and you want to say hi? I know that's not true, but that's okay. We're not going to put you on the spot. So Fred, would you like to, speaking as we talk about presentations and fun things like that, Fred, do you want to share some of your stuff?
Sure. So I'm Fred Moyer. I've been absent for a few months while I've been flying here and there for conferences. But next week at SRECon Singapore, I am giving a talk on monitoring with Istio. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And bear in mind, this is a very draft presentation. This is kind of how the sausage gets made. I would love I'll just go through some of these slides. Would love feedback on folks, especially stuff that if I get something factually wrong, please call it out. SRECon Asia, I'm going to be talking about comprehensive container-based service monitoring with Kubernetes and Istio. So can everyone see the screen share okay? Okay, sounds like you can. So I'm Fred Moyer on Twitter. I'm a monitoring nerd, a developer evangelist at Circonus, an Istio mesh geek. I created the first community Istio Mixer adapter, and April and Zach got together and gave me this awesome ship in a bottle. Thank you guys so much. It's sitting here on my desk, and I'm also an observability and a statistics dork. So at this talk, I'm going to be talking about a few things. First is an overview of Istio. Second is a refresher on service level objectives. And then I'll talk about how you can monitor Istio services with a red dashboard, and then go into collecting telemetry as histograms. I'll give a walkthrough of the Istio metrics adapter I wrote and the structure there and how you can do that too. And then bonus round, I'll talk about latency bands for service level objectives. So what's Istio? It's an open platform to connect, manage, and secure microservices. I went ahead and grabbed this image off the site. Maybe I can look in the community area if there's a different official Istio image. But it's about a year old. Is it a year old exactly recently, or does anyone know? I saw Dan Cirilli post about that on Twitter.
It was like it was a week ago. I think it was last week.
The 24th.
It was last Thursday, I think, yeah.
Close enough. But the project is mainly backed by folks at Google, the Envoy project at Lyft, IBM, and Cisco. Did I get that correct? I'll assume I did. If
Yes.
Chat me up offline if something wrong. What exactly is Istio? It's a service mesh for Kubernetes, and what's a service mesh? Well, Kubernetes takes care of container orchestration, deployment, and scaling, and it's essentially your data plane for your services. Requests pass through it, get handled by Kubernetes, and it generates responses based on your container-based applications or container-based microservices. So where Istio comes in is it allows you to apply many of the things that Kubernetes doesn't have, such as policy enforcement. There's an RBAC adapter, traffic management, so you can set request rate limits. You can do access control, kind of a lot of the things that you take for granted when using something like TCP. This is all the kind of the equivalent for layer 7. It also handles telemetry collection, and the great part about that is you don't have to instrument your applications. So you don't have to go off and keep bugging developers like, hey, can you add a Prometheus endpoint, or can you pump out metrics via stats decall? Because everyone knows that stuff gets onto Scrum backlogs and takes forever to get done, and the landscape there is often changing very rapidly. So it's got hooks that basically expose request level telemetry that you can harvest for free and do a lot of fun things with. And it's essentially the control plane as opposed to Kubernetes data plane. So quick overview of the architecture. It uses Envoy as a sidecar to proxy requests back to your microservice. And Envoy will take these requests, it'll rip out a bunch of metadata and make a gRPC call to Istio's mixer, which can apply traffic management, policy enforcement, or telemetry syndication. You can syndicate metrics out to Prometheus, StatsD, the Circonus adapter I wrote, among a number of others. And it'll also give you, service graphs and tracing capabilities, such as with Zipkin. So back in the old days of Istio 0.1 and 0.2, you'd have to invoke a lot of kubectl commands and do a bunch of stuff that was outlined in the docs. But as I discovered a couple months ago, now you can just go into Google Cloud Platform and deploy an Istio cluster, complete with Prometheus, Grafana, Zipkin, and Service Graph implementations, just with the click of a button, which is really awesome. So that's actually a very quick way to get up and going. And I'm giving an Istio adapter workshop at OSCON in July. So if you're there, I'm going to be demonstrating, this is one of the vehicles I'll be using to demonstrate how you can build an adapter. So it's very easy to get going through Google's cloud platform. And Istio comes with a sample book info application, which is essentially like a ratings and review app for reviewing books. And this kind of demonstrates the capabilities of Istio. You've got, the Envoy sidecar handling requests, which can pass them back to services. And here we've got a polyglot set of services with the product page running in Python. And you'll notice these black bars here in the middle are Envoy sidecars for each of these microservices. So you've got, product page in Python, the reviews page, different views, different versions, 3 different versions in Java. Your ratings node is in your ratings app is in Node, and you've got the details page in Ruby. So now you can take all those language wars at your company and make those part of your strategy instead of trying to fight those and get everyone to fall in line. And when you deploy something like this, we're going to take a look under the hood about the actual Kubernetes services it deploys. You've got 5 services here exposed when you run the kubectl command. So each of these is abstracted into different containers. And so if you look at the pods, which are actually deployed by Kubernetes, and this is independent of the system containers needed to actually run Istio. I should add that to this presentation. So you've got individual containers here for each service. You've got 3 different pods for reviews, and you can use Istio to do cool stuff like traffic shaping. I can send 90% of my traffic to reviews version 1, and split off percentages of traffic to V2 and V3 to get essentially a canary effect to make sure I'm not going to break my service when I roll out new versions. So here we've done a quick Istio overview. I'm going to move on to, and bear in mind I've only got a few other slides since this is still in the making. I'll do a quick service level objectives overview. I'm just going to hop through this really quick since this isn't really the focus of the Istio group, but this is SREcon Asia, so I'm sure most folks have read the Site Reliability Engineering book where it talks about SLIs, SLOs, and SLAs. SLIs drive SLOs, which inform SLAs. And I'm pulling some of these quotes from a recent YouTube video by Seth Vargo and Liz LeGray. SLIs are service level indicators. Say, I want my 95th percentile latency of homepage requests to be less than 300 milliseconds over the past 5 minutes. SLO is a target for those indicators. Say, I want my homepage SLI, I want that to succeed for 99.39s over a trailing year. And an SLA is basically a manifestation of SLIs and SLOs that are contractually bound to your customers, and that you can end up having to give credits or pay money to customers if you break them. So we went through service level objectives really quickly. I'm going to move on to how you can create a red dashboard with Istio to monitor your services. So Istio exposes a number of different metrics from Mixer: request count by response code, request duration, request size, response size, a number of connection metadata metrics, and you can also add metric tags to each of these. So you can, essentially tag requests by service. So we can derive some SLI-based metrics from these metrics that are exposed. We can calculate request rate, which is request count per time, from the request count, and we can take the unsuccessful requests and calculate the error rate, and we can also calculate the average request latency. And on the next slide, I will show the existing Istio dashboard for book info that comes out of the box, but that's all the slides I currently have right now. I'm still working on the rest. So
that's awesome. Thanks, Fred.
Yeah, would love comments now or offline, or looking forward to presenting it. A little bit nervous, but I think I know this really well. But obviously, everyone here is an expert on it.
I'll just comment this. I think that the ability to establish SLOs by monitoring kind of set SLIs is going to be one of the big benefits for people. That's really, when I talk to people today, what they page on some really weird stuff, and giving the industry a standard way to do that, I think will be big benefit. So I think it's a great topic for a talk.
Cool. All right, I'll go ahead and stop the share.
Yeah, hi Fred. I think this is great. I have a question. Did you have to write Mixer adapter to enable your talk? Are you building something on top of it still?
I wrote the Circonus adapter, the in-process adapter that was merged back in December. I owe the telemetry folks an out-of-process adapter implementation also, which I'm working to get on my schedule.
Okay, gotcha.
Cool. Thanks, folks.
Yeah, thanks for sharing it. And when's the talk again?
It's next Wednesday, Singapore time at I think around 2 or 3 p.m.
Can you like ping me a link of your to the website or something, and I'll tweet it out via the Istio.
Absolutely, yes.
Twitter, and then we can also put it on the community calendar.
Cool.
Right now the community calendar is open for people to add stuff to, but the problem is when it's that open, people delete things accidentally. So trying to come up with the perfect solution for all of that. But in the meantime, if you've got, an event or something that of you're speaking at or whatever, and you want to get that posted on the calendar, just ping me if you need assistance. All right, so that was all we had on the written agenda. Does anybody have any questions or anything you want to share? This is your opportunity to also complain.
Or provide constructive feedback.
Well, that too, yes, that too. Since you have David and Dan and Jasmine. Jasmine has a cool article about Istio coming out soon.
In what?
Info.
Sweet.
Hey guys, maybe something from the trenches. We've been running Istio 0.7.1 in a smaller production case, and we actually, every time we deploy new deployments, the pilot doesn't refresh properly, and we sometimes have to restart services or restart ingress, etc. There are a couple of bugs mentioned in the issues, but I was just surprised that such a bug can actually appear in yeah, in 07, I mean, I was thinking there's a large test suite and stuff. So I was just wondering how are you ensuring that like the basic happy paths are kind of working, or what's the current atmosphere or mood at this?
Yeah, can you send your bug to the chat? What exactly is your scenario? Just so you know, 071 is a monthly release. It hasn't gone through a thorough testing as we typically do for the quarterly release, which 08 is a quarterly release. And the other thing I want to note is if you're doing routing on the Istio Ingress, that has been a known issue with 071, which my guess is might be your case.
It's likely. I wasn't aware that you have monthly and quarterly releases, so that's my fault. Okay.
Yeah, that was our fault for not communicate too well. So, but just so everyone knows, so 08 is the quarterly long-term LTS long-term supported release, and the next one we're rolling out is 10.
That's very good to know. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
That's okay then.
Yeah, but we did say earlier, you know, if you've got stuff that you feel like hasn't been looked at, do let us know. And then, like Jasmine mentioned, there's a big list of, what do we want to say, priorities for 0.8 is what everybody was focused on as far as closing bugs.
And starting next week, we will have a similar list, essentially a burn down list for 1.0. To Lynn's point, we're not going to have 0.9, but we will have a pre-release, likely to happen sometime in June. And we will share the list with you. So if you think something is critical and need to be fixed either for pre-release or 1.0, we'll have to discuss, and if it's valid, we need to add that to the list. In other words, heads up, if there are things that you're logging on GitHub and you're expecting a developer to take a look at it, it may not happen in time because of upcoming releases.
Yeah, and definitely raise that also in the working group. All right, anybody? I see how you did that, Jasmine. I see. Anyone have any other questions?
I have a question. Do we have?
I'm sorry, we're done.
Okay, way that people can suggest topics or discussion points for this? How's that happen?
We have.
No.
Yeah, you should.
Could you remind me?
We have a working doc that has all the dial-in access information, and then people can put in their questions or agenda items.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure that people feel like they can request topics there. Say, hey,
yeah.
like the, yeah, okay, good.
Yeah, absolutely. Usually we have a good running list of questions that people have. But I think everybody's probably been eagerly anticipating 0.
I know today our engineering team is heads down.
Oh, yeah.
And that's fine. I wouldn't mind in general kind of queuing up some and bringing in some experts to talk about a particular topic here and there.
I would love that as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, I'm off to work on Cedric's presentation. If we end early, I've got to have right now to work on it.
I heard someone. Okay, yeah. So the correct pronunciation is Istio. There's a question about the Istio pronunciation. It's Istio.
We should put that on the site.
It is on the site, I think.
No.
Or we talked at one point about like doing a YouTube video of like everybody pronouncing it.
That'll be fun.
We have a request for security to be talked about. Yeah, end user security. Usually Spike is here and can give a lot of the security perspective.
I'm a little bit curious about what end user security means. Is that Yulia? If you wouldn't mind elaborating a little bit.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Okay, sorry, I'm from Netcracker Technology. Maybe, and now we are quite new, I think, to cloud native, and we have some new product, and now we are investigating Istio, and I read some design from your side about end user solution from Istio, but actually I can't find out a status of this topic.
So by end user security, do you mean kind of validation of auth tokens that represent end user, and then maybe possibly authorization decisions made on that as well?
I mean authentication of end users, because there are a lot of documentation about service-to-service security, and as I guess it was developed, but about end user, some GVT token, I found a solution how you can integrate with Kcloak. Maybe you know that article from Red Hat.
No, I don't know that. I don't know that.
Did you say Kcloak?
Kcloak, it's identity provider.
I don't know what they are. However, if they are generating, if they have a capability to generate JWTs, what I've seen in the past, lots of essentially everything, different identity providers, whether it is something like Okta or whatever, like they have a client library that will generate a JWT. And what we allow you to do with Istio is specify a policy that says essentially where the public key is, that can allow that to be verified. You can verify the signature as well as verify certain fields within the JWT. So, for example, who the issuer audience is. I think that's what's been implemented so far in Istio.
Okay.
What's that?
Let me check.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some links about Kcloak that people in the chat are sharing. So.
Okay, sorry, I'm not native.
We're making connections. Yeah. John says he can put people in touch with some of the Kcloak folks. So.
But maybe this is a potential kind of a little talk for the next meeting, is just a talk on end user authentication and authorization. I think it's a good suggestion.
It will be really, really useful. Thank you.
Yeah, so I just posted a link on a task Istio security team put out on set up end user authentication. So you might want to take a look at that. It's through JWT.
Thanks, Lynn.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks for the question, Yulia. Yeah, so I'll see if I can bring someone in from our team to talk about that.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions or? And yeah, along those lines, if there's anything that you would be interested in getting a deep dive on, or a special demo of, or anything like that for a future call, please do add it to the list. And you don't have to be the one to actually deliver it. We can recruit someone. We'll just make Dan do it all.
I'll do it all.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. And thank you, Fred, for giving us a sneak peek at your talk. It looks awesome. We will be here again in 2 weeks. And do reach out if you're planning to be at any of those upcoming events that are on the community calendar, because we can all meet in person. All right. Thanks, everyone. We will see you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.